Bonjour tout le monde, merci d'être venu. Je viens de tenir une excellente rencontre avec le président Biden où je l'ai remercié pour l'amitié de nos deux pays. J'ai réitéré nos supports pour rendre nos forces militaires plus fortes afin de protéger la sécurité continentale, y compris en collaborant davantage sur NORAD. J'ai aussi mentionné que le Canada devrait encore recevoir une exemption aux règles de Buy America, comme on avait eu pendant les années Harper-Obama. On avait une entente avec M. Obama pour exempter le Canada du Buy America, mais maintenant, ces mêmes politiques discriminatoires sont en place qui nuisent nos travailleurs en construction. Et finalement, il faut mettre fin et rembourser les douanes sur le bois d'œuvre qu'appliquent les États-Unis sur nos travailleurs dans le secteur forestier. Encore, c'était un enjeu qui était réglé pendant les années conservatrices, mais qui est encore à nous après la réinstauration de ces douanes quand Justin Trudeau est arrivé en pouvoir. Donc, on a besoin de justesse en ce qui concerne notre économie et le libre-échange. Finalement, j'ai abordé un autre sujet, et c'est les règles en ce qui concerne les vaccins. On permet des Américains non vaccinés de venir ici. Les Américains permettent leurs propres citoyens de traverser la frontière sans être vaccinés. J'ai suggéré au président qu'il devrait mettre fin à ces obligations qui empêche des millions de Canadiens de traverser la frontière. Il faut, c'est juste le bon sens, le gros bon sens. Il faut ramener le gros bon sens chez nous avec une amitié plus forte pour le bénéfice de nos deux peuples. Thank you very much. I just finished an excellent meeting with President Biden where we discussed the need for Canada to bolster its defenses, to cooperate further on NORAD, but also to bring fairness to Canadian workers. After Prime Minister Trudeau took office, the United States slapped us with Buy America rules that discriminate against our workers and new tariffs on our softwood lumber, two issues that Prime Minister Harper had resolved with the earlier Bush and Obama administration. So I sought an end to softwood tariffs and an exemption for Canada for Buy America. Finally, I encourage the President to remove vaccine mandates on Canadians crossing into the United States. The U.S. government no longer requires vaccination for its own citizens to cross the border. Canada allows Americans who are unvaccinated to come here. There are millions of good, decent, honorable people who, through a personal medical decision, are discriminated against at the border, and I encouraged the President to lift those restrictions to allow them freedom of mobility across our southern border. In essence, what we have to do is bring it home for our country, bring home our jobs, bring home our industry, bring home our paychecks, bring home security, and bring it home for this country. Thank you very much.
Qu'est-ce qui arrive avec l'invitation ce soir? C'est pas tout à fait clair. Votre bureau a dit que vous n'aviez pas été invité. Avez-vous été invité? Qu'est-ce qui arrive finalement? Est-ce présent?
Le bureau, le gouvernement a envoyé une invitation à un courriel que je n'utilise pas depuis 7 ans. Et ils ont menti aussi aux médias en disant que j'avais refusé. J'ai jamais refusé. Donc, c'est un mensonge et plus de désinformation essaimée par Justin Trudeau.
How did a response did you get from the President on your requests?
Excellent response. President Biden wants to be a friend of Canada, and I know that if our government had raised these issues with him, he probably would have been more responsive. If we had a Prime Minister who was fighting for our forestry workers and our construction workers and for Canadians who are not vaccinated, I'm sure that the President would have received those interventions very well. But I don't believe that Prime Minister Trudeau has pushed and fought on behalf of Canadians. But I have to say that President Biden was very receptive. He wants to be a good friend and neighbor to Canada, and that's why I was so encouraged with our meeting.
How do you feel when Biden asked you to stand up in regards to the remarks about gender parity in the governments?
Well, we support gender equality for all Canadians.
Like, what is it like? This was your first time meeting the president. Just give us your, personal impressions.
Well, I shared with him that we both have Irish blood. My biological grandmother was Molly Malloy, and my biological grandfather was Patrick Farrell. And of course, it doesn't get more Irish than Biden. And so we just both agree that there are only two types of people, those who are Irish and those who wish they were. But he's a friendly, decent, good partner for Canada, and it was clear from our interaction that he wants the best for both of our countries. Oui.
Au sujet du chemin Roxham, on voit aujourd'hui dans le texte de l'entente qui a été rendu public que les amendements qui entrent en vigueur à minuit ce soir, la base de ça a été négociée il y a 1 an. Ça vous dit quoi, ça, que ça entre en vigueur seulement ce soir? Mais,
premièrement, il faut reconnaître qu'on n'a jamais eu de problème avec la migration illégale massive avant Justin Trudeau. On avait la même entente sur les troisième pays sûrs avant Justin Trudeau. On avait la même frontière, mais on n'avait jamais ce problème de gens qui traversaient la frontière dans des nombres comme on a vu avec Justin Trudeau. Donc, c'est lui qui a ouvert le chemin Roxham et c'est lui qui a causé le problème. C'est la raison pour laquelle, il y a un mois, j'ai revendiqué que le premier ministre trouve une façon de fermer le chemin Roxham. Et finalement, on entend qu'il peut y avoir une entente pour le faire. J'espère que cette entente va fonctionner. Et on ne sait pas pourquoi le premier ministre a pris aussi longtemps pour le faire. Yes. We never had a problem at Roxham Road or any sort of problem with mass illegal migration before Justin Trudeau. Even though we had the same 6,000-kilometer border, we had the same safe third country agreement, we never had this problem until Justin Trudeau created the infrastructure and gave the message that this was the right way to come to Canada. And now we're hundreds of millions of dollars into costs. Many other immigrants who applied properly are waiting longer. We have 1.1 million immigrants in the queue, a record backlog. This is the broken immigration system that Justin Trudeau has created. We hope that he will undo some of the damage he caused in this new agreement with the United States of America. We will watch very carefully. Our view is that we should close Roxham Road, but more quickly process the lawful immigrant applicants, including refugees, so that we can bring more brilliant Canadians to help build our country.
But did it come up in the meeting? I'm wondering what you make of the way President Biden right now is approaching green transition, the billions, in fact, that he is spending on this, the pressure that's on Canada to match it financially, and where you stand on all of that, whether it is the government ought to be matching what Biden is doing or how you see that.
Well, I say first, do no harm. And right now, our government is doing immense harm to the possibility of green jobs in this country. By its own admission, this government takes as much as 25 years to grant a permit for a mine. We have all the minerals necessary for electric car batteries right here in Canada, but we can't produce them because of government gatekeepers that make it impossible to get it approved. The Ring of Fire in Ontario has been talked about for 15 years. The First Nations there have been waiting 5 years for a permit for a highway to get to the Ring of Fire, and they don't even have a shovel in the ground yet. So the biggest problem is government gatekeepers that prevent us from permitting mines, factories, and other necessary green infrastructure to get these things built. So a Poilievre government will get out of the way so that Canadians can get things done, and we will bring home the production of all kinds of energy to this country. One last question.
Did Roxham Road come up at the meeting? Did the President raise it, or did you raise it? Please tell me, sir.
It did not, because I've not had an opportunity to comment on the proposed arrangement that they brought forward, so I didn't want to make an uninformed comment. I want to take some time to study what it is that they're proposing before I bring it up.
Okay, thank you. Following recent allegations about Handong.
Well, first of all, I think it was very moving and very touching to have the two Michaels here, two courageous men who survived unimaginable hell, and I was very heartened that everyone in the chamber gave them such a warm welcome. I'm not going to pass judgment on these allegations because I don't know all the facts, but I will say this. only a public inquiry can get to the bottom of this. And I note that Mr. Handong has actually voted in favor of a public inquiry. So for his sake and for everybody's sake, and most importantly, for the sake of the truth, the Prime Minister has to end his cover-up and call a full public inquiry. Thank you very much.
Did you get to meet the two Michaels, right, sir?